Hey, Michael.
Hey, Coach Eilert, thank you for joining us today for the Zoom media conference. We'll start with the first question to Greg Hunter.
So Josh, start simple. You had the scout for Texas Tech. What's the scout entail? How they look so far?
Well, they have a lot of size. And in a lot of ways, defensively, they're going to throw a lot of people at you. Mark Adams has been notorious for his defense, so isolations are going to be a struggle for anybody. And like I told our team last night in the scouting report, more than any time ever, we're going to have to really move the ball. If we don't move the ball from side to side and really pass it and share it, we're going to struggle. But if we get into the mode where we're getting selfish and guys just want to, go one-on-one, they're gonna run guys at you. They have an extreme help side and they do a really good job defensively. But if we get them moving side to side, and I think we're gonna get what we want.
Have you moved the ball like you wanted to consistently, even in this losing stretch, or has that been an issue?
I thought that we did a really good job against TCU. We really executed our offense pretty good and kind of controlled the game. That was also my scout, and we talked about a lot in terms of how they run out and the fast break and how well they do and off turnovers and forcing you to take hard shots and we really focused and nailed down our offense against TCU. I think we slipped up a little bit against Texas. We didn't have that mindset as much as we did against TCU, and we got to get back to clean up our offense and making sure we get really good looks and looks that we can rebound. I tell our guys all the time, if we get good looks out of our offense, we're a hell of a lot better offensive rebounding team because we know where the shots are coming from. If the selfishness starts to creep in and guys are taking shots out of the offense, and it does us no good.
Our next question goes to John Antonic.
Hey, Josh, you've been in this league for a long time and you've been all the different places. What makes this place so difficult to play?
Well, the last 2 or 3 years, I guess, since tip of the cap to Chris Beard, he really got that environment going. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have a whole lot to do in Lubbock, but they really show up for those games and they're locked in. That student section's really good. And I told the guys yesterday, I mean, this is probably going to be the second best environment we've played so far. They're still packing that place, regardless of what they've done record-wise and their struggles. They're really putting people in the seats. And their student section is as good as anybody in the country. So second to Xavier's a really hard environment for us. And we got to get in there and stay together and work together and figure out how we come out of there with a win.
We're here. O'Banner, what's O'Banner bring to them and why has he been so good for them?
Senior leadership. He's not taking nearly as many shots as Pop Isaacs is in the Big 12 play, but overall, he's probably their leading shot taker. Pop is kind of taking over that role in conference play, but he's solid. He's not going to take any hard, tough shots. He's going to take shots out of their offense. So Harmon and O'Banner, the two guys that kind of lead them with the two veterans, they bring a lot of leadership to the table and kind of settle them in a lot of ways.
I have one more real quick. Differences or similarities between Adams and Beard?
I think Adams had a lot to do with their defense when Beard was there, from what I hear. So I think their defense is very similar. Looking back to the last couple of years, I think what they're trying to do is, and they're different on a lot of teams in our league to where they're relying on a lot of freshmen. And to rely on freshmen on the defensive end is usually more of a struggle than relying on the offensive end. Because night in, night out, you guys see in the Big 12, it is a grind. Mm-hmm. And Texas Tech, probably in any other league, is probably top, 3 or 4. And any other league in the country. So they are a really, really good team. But in a lot of ways, they might have, their struggles on the defensive end that would where in the past they had, that was their strength.
Thanks.
Next question comes from Kevin Kinder.
Josh, you mentioned the roller coaster and moving the ball, and that kind of up and down has been the story of the year in terms of turnovers, rebounding. Things have gotten better, then they've gotten worse, and gotten better again. Is that more frustrating, more difficult to address than just figuring out, hey, we're not good at something, and so we're going to try to work around it? And how do you try to improve it? Do you do different things, different drills? What's the approach when you get those varying levels of results?
Well, at this time of the year, I mean, you only get typically about 2 days of prep for each team. So you're really trying to narrow down what they're doing. You'd like to have a lot more time to focus on fundamentals, but there's only so many hours in the day. So a lot of the time is still spent. Let's turn the page, just figure out, what we do to, game plan for the next opponent. Would we like a lot more time to sit down and do box out drills or do passing drills? Absolutely. We'd 100% like to do that. But, when you're turning around and playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, you got 2-3 hour practices to figure it out. I mean, the time becomes precious.
And second question, this staff has been, the same guys for a long time, and obviously some changes this year. Is that same lack of time kind of working against you a little bit in figuring out, hey, here's what each of us brings to the table, how we're coaching, our coaching styles, things like that? Is that just a matter of, hey, need some more time to get us to our peak efficiency?
I don't think so. I think a lot of the efficiency and the ups and downs, the roller coasters, I think it has more to do with, you get the guys from the transfer portal. You bring a lot of different personalities to the table. So perfect scenario, you develop guys and you work through for 4 years and the guys at the freshman and sophomore level really build up to learn the first couple of years. But now it's like an instant gratification. Everybody's trying to, come together immediately. And that's probably where the most struggle is, trying to develop your roster and win with your roster right away.
Mike Casaza.
Hey, Josh, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I have two for you. First, just kind of going on what you were talking about earlier with the offense and passing. I think you said maybe selfish. That's a word that I think Trey has used a couple of times. So I imagine that's getting around and talking points and meetings and all that too. But do you apply any of that to maybe what happened in the final, 5-7 minutes against Texas? And if not, how do you all diagnose what went wrong there?
Well, I mean, it's not always on the offense. I talked to our guys yesterday, we need to play with more discipline and more poise. And that, those are general terms, but for example, discipline, let's not foul, 30 feet from the basket and put them at the line three consecutive times. Let's make them make a tough shot. If they make a tough shot and beat us, it is what it is. But, we tip our cap to them. But otherwise, why just send them to the line? Just put more pressure on our offense to score every single possession. So those types of things, the grabbing of the jerseys, the technical fouls that we've kind of been plagued with, those are things that we can control. So having more discipline and playing with more discipline and poise and down the stretch, that's what it's going to come down to winning and losing. We tell them all the time, these possessions or these games come down to 1 or 2 possessions in so many cases. So when you're taking, possessions off the board for you offensively, it's going to be a struggle.
And then I don't have to tell you, it's been a while since you guys won a road game in the league. And you mentioned how difficult this venue is too. Is there a way to break through, or is it just kind of, keep swinging and eventually it happens and you can't change a whole lot of things? Pretty much for what you said before, you only have so much time and you really can't start reinventing new ways.
Right. I think what I did, I just, called it out yesterday. We haven't really called it out, we kind of just said it's just another game, but I called it out. I said, it's going to be, we got to block the noise. They're going to have a great environment regardless of the record. They're going to come out with a lot of energy. So we got to feed off of it in some form or fashion and stay together, stay poised down the stretch. So I just figure the elephant in the room, it's going to be a hard environment. I threw it out there. That's part of the keys to victory. We got to find a way, a little adversity, go through, figure out a way to win.
Thanks.
Josh, we'll go to Bob Hertzel.
Yeah, Josh, give me a little idea of what it means. What do you go through to put together a scout on the team? What do you look at? What do you look for? How much time is involved? That kind of thing.
Typically for me, we break it down early before the season even starts, what coaches have, what particular teams. And so you were mindful of all these teams, throughout the non-conference. For instance, mine's Texas Tech, TCU, and Kansas State. So when I'm, throughout the non-conference, I'm taking a look at all those teams as they play. And so I have something in the back of my mind prior to getting ready to, start cutting their film. Texas Tech, I probably watched last 6 or 7 of their games. And I was a former video coordinator, so I do a lot of that work on my own and really cut it and get into the specifics of what they're going to do, specific to how we guard things that might give us problems. They might have a huge playbook, but you got to pick and choose with a short window to figure out what certain actions might give us problems with our personnel or the way we guard, and it usually comes down to ball screens. So we're always trying to figure out, what's gonna bother our opponent. But then we always look at what they do defensively and trying to figure out, our offensive scheme and what sets are going to work best against theirs. So there's a lot of work involved on the back end that, people don't really realize, but it's just part of the game. And there's a lot of long nights and a lot of staring at the ceiling, trying to sleep when your scouts on the table and you got to go get a win.
Thank you.
Justin Jackson.
Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Justin?
Good, real good. Hey, and scouting Texas Tech, obviously, like you said, you kind of look at him throughout the season. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Fardaws.
Amac.
Obviously, he's obviously not a new addition, but just coming off injury and played the last few games. So, how much different are they maybe now as opposed to maybe when you first started watching them back in, November, December, or whatever?
Well, the biggest difference is Bacho's minutes. Bacho was playing really, really well non-conference. He was, I think, averaged as much as 12 points a game non-conference, and that's kind of taking a slide. So he's down to about 3 points a game. So Amac took a lot of Bacho's minutes. Now, do they play them together? Yes. They've played them together quite a bit here recently. Like anybody struggling and trying to find a win, they're doing different things and switching things up from game to game. You see when you're scouting people, if they're winning, they're usually pretty consistent with what they do. If teams are losing, they're constantly changing. And so they've looked like we had done in the past over the years, played 2 bigs at the same time, and it really gives a lot of people problems in terms of the rebounding end. But they play pretty similar otherwise. O'Banner is always in the fold as well, and you always got to be mindful of him. But with those 2 bigs in the game, we really got to rebound.
And then you mentioned Isaacs earlier as well. He's a freshman, so he comes in and he's figuring out his niche and his roles. But really, since the start of conference play, you probably noticed this. I mean, his numbers have started to go way up once conference play started. What are you seeing there? Just a freshman getting more confident, or is he just taking more shots, or is his game changed? Or
well, he's 100% got the green light. He'll take a lot of shots out of their offense, and he can score in a lot of different ways. I mean, whether it be catch and shoot, off a pin down, off a curl. Certain guys you can scout and say, okay, they're going to be a catch and shoot guy if they have space, but he can pull from about any form or fashion in terms of out of their offense. So he's got the ultimate green light. But there's also guys coming off the bench. If you look at Kerwin Walton coming off the bench, he's playing with as much confidence as anybody. I told the guys yesterday, I think he was 7 for 11 or something or 8 for 11 in Big 12 play from 3. So they got some guys they can bring off the bench as well that can make shots. But Pop's the one that's you never know when he's going to pull it.
We'll go back to Greg Hunter.
So Josh, more on you now. Obviously, your first full season as an assistant coach. You've been with the program for a long, long time. But how's your life different now that you've moved down a chair or two?
A lot more stress. That's probably, I mean, life is easy when you're winning, but when you're struggling a little bit and you're teetering, there's, like I said earlier, you're staring at the ceiling a lot more, struggling to sleep, trying to figure out what you can do different or better, so I mean, I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways, so I try to do everything very professional and to the boss's liking. So I want to make sure, we're doing the things that we need to do to be successful and help our guys be successful. So whether it be being the positive influence with them and continue to give them that positive, message and hope, and we're still right there, and I keep telling those guys that we're 30 in the net, and there's a lot of things that can go our way if we can get this thing turned.
Recruiting, it's not something you traveled to do in the past. How different is that for you?
Well, in the past, I mean, as an ops guy, you have a day off of practice, and you might, spend 4 or 5 hours in the office and go home and see the family. Now, those days are spent, traveling all day, trying to, see guys that you can during the season. So there's no days off by any means, whether you're working on your scout or on the road recruiting. So it's certainly a grind this time of year. You just got to try to, stay healthy and upbeat and maintain that focus for your guys that you have on the floor at any given time.
Our next question goes to Greg Carey.
Josh, just curious, how do you guys get a little bit more maybe out of Emmett, and how is his play when he is playing a little bit better than maybe what he has the last couple games vital to the team's success?
Yeah, Emmett's huge for us. We got to keep him going. I think Emmett sometimes gets down because he's not getting enough touches or out of our offense. But we talk to Emmett a lot, like in so many ways he can help us, just by being the glue guy. He's going to find his offense out. He has a knack for, putting the ball in the basket at times. So he's going to find that offense, but we just need him to be a leader. He's one of our seniors. He needs to, spread the right message with those guys, rebound the ball, make the right pass. I mean, it ain't all about scoring, and nobody wants anything to do with those guys that don't come from winning teams. So that message, we've tried to get across to him, and he's very receptive to that. He's a great kid, and he just wants the best for everybody.
Any further questions for Coach Eilert? Coach Eilert, that's all the questions we have today. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.